Attorney Becky Monroe from the California Civil Rights Department is joining us once again. Hi, Attorney Becky, how are you?
I'm doing well. It is so great to be back here with you again.
I think it was in August 2022 when we last spoke. We visited your LA office. How has it been since we last spoke? So it's about a little over a year.
That's right. Well, first, I just want to thank you. You were one of the first people to actually cover our work and to be interested in the work that we were doing. And I'm really grateful to your commitment to getting resources out to the community. So people who have felt like they couldn't report or they wanted to report, but they didn't know where to get resources and support, it strengthened our resolve to launch the strongest and most effective hate crimes reporting system that we could, which is what we did in May of 2023 when we officially launched California versus Hate. Since May of 2023, when we had our official launch, we've done a few things that are really centered on what we heard from communities. So one of those is we have had very specific targeted advertising to get the word out about the resources. We are working a lot with ethnic media outlets, our partners at both the California Department of Social Services, as well as the California State Library and their Stop the Hate campaign. We are working with them to develop targeted advertising materials that are in multiple languages. We've also teamed up with something called United Against Hate Week. That is a week that happens across the state. We were really proud to join some of the existing partners there and make sure that it was a statewide effort. We developed specific new materials in new languages, certainly includes Tagalog and many other languages. We also have multiple accountability mechanisms in place. That means that we have quarterly meetings with nonprofit partners, including partners that you may have heard of, like Stop AAPI Hate, the NAACP, Disability Rights California, Asian Americans Advancing Justice, many other groups. Why we think that is important is that part of what we are doing with them is, one, we are making sure that we're compensating them for their time, and we are asking them to tell us what's working and perhaps more importantly, what's not working. What do we need to do? What gaps do we need to fill?
Do we have numbers on, for instance, how many people have used the hotline, and obviously more qualifying data on how effective the campaign has been in terms of reporting hate crimes and incidents?
Absolutely. So one of the things I want to highlight is that we will have additional data as we get closer to our 1-year anniversary. So I want you to stay tuned and maybe we can talk again at that point. For now, since our official launch of May of 2023 through the end of February of this year, we have seen over 800 reports of hate. 79% of counties in California have reported. That number is critical. We will continue to drill down on where are we not reaching people. It is critical that we reach everyone across the state. The protected statuses that are most reported often to us, that includes race, ethnicity, and country of origin. Then we see religion, sexual orientation, and gender identity following those. 66% of individuals who reported also accepted care coordination services. 66% of people are saying, I want to report and I need additional support. That means they are assigned a care coordinator who is committed to not only identifying resources, but also connecting them, which means if someone says, I need additional mental health services or support, and I need it in Tagalog, then they will say, okay, let me identify some options. Here are some community partners that might be options. Would you like me to get on the phone with you to make sure they actually can provide the service? And if not, I'll get on to the next one with you, which we are proud to be able to provide and we think is an important sort of distinguishing factor about what we do. Top 5 kinds of care coordination services people request are general legal aid, so civil legal services, general counseling, mental health services, consumer complaints, community action, social advocacy groups. Sometimes people, they want to connect with other organizations, with groups of other people who have had the same lived experience of discrimination so they can work together. Unfortunately, we continue to see a lot of neighbor-on-neighbor acts of hate.
Neighbor-on-neighbor acts of hate. It's not something that I come across with personally, but I want us to highlight that because if we're getting a lot of reports on that too, then that means it's happening. What are these? What's happening in neighborhoods?
One of the things you're going to hear, and I think is really important about our hotline, is that we do provide confidential services. But just to give you some general examples of the kinds of things we have seen, for California versus Hate, we have seen acts of hate such as, someone who lives in an apartment complex and their neighbors target them with anti-gay acts of hate. They yell slurs at them every time they come home. In some cases, we've even seen assaults where they actually physically attack them. I mean, all forms of hate are devastating because not only is that one person harmed, but the entire community that shares that characteristic is harmed as well. You should be able to go home and feel safe in your home. So the idea that you have to worry every time you go in your home or leave your home for your safety, whether it's physical or mental health, is something that we try to address very quickly when someone reports.
Right, and most of these are unprovoked too, so it's just really sad. And in our case, for Asians, one trait that we have is that we just like bow our heads, right? Go and live through it.
One of the things that's been most inspiring for me about this work is seeing leaders across the state, including, and I will highlight, Asian American leaders who have said, no, we are not going to take it, and who have organized and worked so hard. The Asian American leaders that we're proud to work with are very intentional about talking about we have to combat all forms of hate, rejecting efforts to divide us, recognizing that if another community is targeted for hate, it's just as if we are as well. We were created by the state legislature. We were a part of the AAPI equity agenda. And when they said to create this hotline, they made it clear it is to combat all forms of hate. I want more people to know about that and to know that extraordinary example is coming from Asian American leaders, as well as many other leaders across our state. We accept all reports of hate. We do not expect people who are targeted for hate to be legal experts. We know that if you have been targeted for hate because of personal characteristic, you know. You don't have to know if it was a criminal violation, a civil violation, or there are some that may be lawful, but still incredibly harmful. We want to hear all of them, and we will provide resources and support to anyone who reports an act of hate. It does not have to be a crime. It does not have to be a civil rights law violation. It just needs to be an act of discrimination where someone wants additional support. If you're reporting an act of hate to the state, there should be no wrongdoer. And we take that very seriously, such that if someone comes to us, they share something that they need help with accessing support from another state system, we'll try and do that as well, so that people don't have to sort of be an expert in how the bureaucracy works, but we can sort of help connect them in that way.
I'm not targeting specific cases, but we have heard, for instance, from a lawyer that's offering pro bono help to victims of hate. They're saying that, so they finally convinced survivors to report, but some survivors are made to wait 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, because the police also don't know how to handle it. And I know you're completely separate, but as far as you know, as far as you can tell, what is going on with that side? Because the reporting kind of starts with them.
You're right. Many people may go directly to law enforcement. And then I think the question is, how equipped are different departments to handle this work? And one of the things I want to talk about, we are the home at the Civil Rights Department to the Commission on the State of Hate. And that commission, I'll tell you a little bit more about them, but one of the things they've been working on is developing and working in partnership with the state Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, or POST. They provide training to police departments across the state. So one of the things they're working on there is, how do we sort of help law enforcement agencies respond more effectively to acts of hate? So I think that's one piece that's really important. And also, we've seen recent state legislation that has been passed to make sure that acts of hate are reported effectively when they are first reported. I can't speak to all law enforcement agencies, certainly, but I can speak to the fact that I recognize the concern there. The other thing I will say is that people come to us sometimes after they've reported to law enforcement, and to your point, are saying, I need an update, I can't figure this out. We can help with that too. So we have worked with folks who've called and said, the detective won't return my call, can you help? And then we do. And sometimes, we don't have a magic wand, we can't always get through right away, but sometimes it just helps to have another party kind of weighing in and helping.
What comes to mind right now is an analogy where you are not, or the department or your services are not there to necessarily make the problem go away, but you're there to hold their hand and have them go through the process to find a solution to what happened to them, right? This is why this segment is very important, Becky, hearing from you that California versus Hate campaign, which includes the hotline information on the screen, for whatever you need regarding this. And even if you don't know if it's a hate crime, a hate incident, or even if you don't know that it's even reportable, if you feel like you've been wronged based on, you know, certain qualities that you can't change, you have as a person, you call this number. How often can they call?
So if you call the 8338 number, you know, we work with the 211 network, and under contract, the response you can wait no more than 3 minutes. Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, we'll wait no longer than 3 minutes. If you call outside of that time, you can also leave a message, or you can call 211, but the wait time may be longer at that point. But that was something very important to us. If you submit something online, if it's during the work week, it's within 24 hours, we'll get back to you. And if not, then it'll be like, you know, if it's on a Friday, it'll be by the Monday. You'll hear back from a care coordinator who will start the process of giving you the information that you need, of identifying what support you would like to have. This is a traumatic process to have to go through. If someone has been targeted for hate, having to relive that in order to access resources is traumatic. So having someone assigned to you who understands that, who's been trained in trauma-informed practices is really important.
It basically is a one number that you have to remember, and it's so easy to remember, because if that number, whoever picks up, cannot help you directly, they will for sure connect you to someone or agencies who can, and they will see it through with you. And that's that's reassuring.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the goal. And again, some people also feel more comfortable reporting online, and we can start that process online too. So they can either go to the number 8338 no hate, or go to CAvsHate.org and get all of the information there. So whatever people are most comfortable with, like you said, we want to provide sort of no wrong door, where if you come in, we will help you find where you need to go. We have done what we can at this point. We have more work to do, and we are so grateful to the community partners who are going to hold us accountable, continue to tell us what more we need to do, and make sure we expand our network such that we really can connect people with what they need, as opposed to what in the past we might have thought they needed. We need to hear from people, and that's what we're going to do, is connect people with the support they need.
Right. Thank you for that. We will end on that note, but certainly we would love to talk to you again, especially when more data is available. And yeah, but for now, thank you and your team and your partners for the important work that you're doing.
Thank you.